Welcome everyone to episode 20. We're on the big 2-0, y'all. The MTL Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in each and every week. We really appreciate all the support. To make it to the big 2-0 is a big accomplishment for us. So for today's show, we're gonna kick off the 2-0 on a good note. We got some more NBA free agency news, some more signings that got finalized this week. So we will recap those for you. And of course, we will continue to dive into the Dame Dollar trade developments. There's a new development every single hour on the hour, it seems like. And then we're going to touch on NBA Summer League action. We had two different little small leagues in terms of NBA Summer Leagues that happened this week. And we have the big guns. Las Vegas takes place starting tonight. We are recording on Friday, so we will talk about that, and of course, we will end our show with our patented rapid fire. So, stay tuned, y'all. This is going to be a good one. Let's kick off the show with some NBA free agency news. We will recap, the little bit of signings that kind of trickled in, during the week. And of course, like I said in the intro, we're going to give you some of the updates about the Dame Dollar situation, what's going on, what's the newest pieces of information that we have. But yeah, starting off, probably what I would say the biggest signing for this week was Grant Williams. He has a new home. He is heading to Dallas on a 4-year, $53 million deal. Now, this is part of a sign-in trade between basically a three-team trade. So we have the Dallas, of course. We have the Celtics, of course. And then we have the Spurs, they are continuing to surround Wemby with some intriguing talent. So, let's break it down for you. So like I said, Grant Williams signed a 4-year, $53 million deal. He's heading to Dallas. Celtics in this trade are going to receive 2 future second-round picks via Dallas. And the Spurs are going to acquire Reggie Bullock and the right to pick swap in 2030 from Dallas. Their first-round pick, they have the right to swap. So basically they'll get the lesser of the picks there. My thinking behind the trade, and early winners, losers. We'll come back to this once Lawrence is back on the podcast next week. But for Dallas, they're definitely the winners in this trade. I believe. Now, Grant Williams wasn't their first target. We all know this. Bruce Brown was their guy that they were gunning for to start a free agency. And, we could tell just because of the moves they made during the NBA draft. They traded away Bertans, get off of that money, trade back. And then they used a trade exception to get Rashawn Holmes. And then they have, a decent center who can play defense. And, he can start while Derek Lively can, continue to develop, get his feet wet in the NBA. Don't need to throw the kid straight to the fire. And then even with the free agency moves, you could tell that they were gunning for defense. So that basically this was a good move for them. The number 2 option that they were trying to get this offseason. I like the fit. Definitely, I feel like Grant Williams fills the same kind of role that Bruce Brown would have played. Except for you probably getting a bigger package because Bruce Brown's more of a guard. Grant Williams can play a multitude of positions, 2, 3, 4, even small ball 5. So, yeah, I mean, the defense is there definitely. And with the occasional corner 3, sometimes he gets hot and he'll hit 3, 4 in a game for you. That might be the difference maker. It definitely was for some of the Celtics games. He'll come in, hit big shots, play big time defense on the opposing team's best player. And he can bring the same thing to the Mavs. And I think with more consistent minutes, because, Joe Mazzulla kind of I don't know what happened between them, but you definitely could see, he felt the rotation. And it wasn't until like tough situations that he kind of just Missoula just threw him back out there just as like a wild card basically. And it's like, okay, well, either you're gonna keep doing things I don't like, or you're gonna like prove me wrong. And I would say for the most part, he proved Missoula wrong. Probably should have stayed in that rotation, but it's not the here nor there. Secondly, I feel like the Spurs also won in this trade, only giving up. Well, he didn't give up anything. I think he just gave up pick swaps. So basically, uh, if you're still bad in 2030, if I'm reading this correctly, Dallas will get your pick. But who knows what might happen? That's years from now. So, I'm not gonna base the early grades off of that. But I will say Reggie Bullock's a nice player to have on any team. Yes, even a team that is clearly rebuilding and just won the Wemby sweepstakes. He will be a good rotation player. Don't know if he'll start because, Spurs probably want to still play their younger guys. So maybe he's just like a vet, the locker room vet who becomes like the sixth man. That's what I foresee right now. And of course, the early losers are the Celtics. Now, I know Brad Stevens said, hey, we have to green light the spin if we need to. I feel like if you only had to give up the mid level, why in the hell did you not re-sign the guy? He was going for $20 million. He was restricted. You gave him a qualifying offer, so he was restricted. All you had to do was sign the offer sheet and match. He's only getting $12 million AAV, all right? A little bit over because it's 4 years and $53 million, but year one he's making just over $12 million. And a lot of it's just a bad move. And just like a lot of other people have said out there, at the very least, you could have just matched him and then figure out what to do with Grant Williams down the road. You could have easily flipped him for assets instead of, I get 2 future seconds. I think that's okay, but I think if you had just kept him in the rotation, his trade value would have been more. And then if you match the sheet and then you give him chances to play with Porzingis, which he would have spaced the floor even more than just like Al Horford or, Time Lord. And Celtics are going all in on offense. So him being probably like your best or second best defender probably would have raised his value more. So you probably like at the end of this, you probably could have got a first and some seconds for him later down the road. Especially when the cap keeps going up, his contract's going to be a bargain in 2 to 3 years. So I think it would have. I don't know how wealthy their owner is, but I imagine with them not being super, super into the tax, I think they're only like 10 or 12 million into the tax right now. With them not being that much into the tax, they could have easily just bit the bullet. He could have bit the bullet for 2 seasons. And you figure out in 2 seasons from now, that contract's going to be a bargain. Grant Williams, he's not going to decline in 2 seasons. Even if he stays stagnant, the contract alone is like good for a trade. So it's just a little puzzling. Don't quite understand, what they're thinking is. Maybe they'll, give us a little, hint in the near future. But early thoughts are Celtics are the losers of the trade, and we have 2 winners. So, moving right along, we also had, if you guys didn't know, Mo Bamba. He was let go by the Lakers, of course. They waived him. He got picked up by the 76ers. Now, we'll see how this works out. They have Naz Reid. Wait, is it Naz Reid or Paul Reed? One of them, all right? I forget. let's actually look it up right now so we don't screw this up. All right. So, but either way, they have, at least at this moment, they have three competent. Okay, they have Paul Reed. All right. They have three competent centers. All right. Of course, you have the MVP who stole it from Jokic, but that's not the here nor there. But then you have Paul Reed, who, when Embiid was out, he was playing outstanding. Like, not saying he was all-star, but he was damn near putting up some big numbers. So, and then you have Mo Bamba, who didn't really get a chance in LA for $10 million. I understand why he was waived. He didn't really play a lot, didn't really show a lot to, keep him around. So it's sad, but NBA is a business, so I understand why they let him go. It's a good signing for the Sixers. You get a little bit of, insurance against injuries to both. Plus, who knows? Paul Reed might get traded because his value is so high. So if the Sixers need to go down that route, they definitely can. And they have a replacement. What other deals we have? The Kings traded for Chris Duarte from the Pacers for 2 second-round picks. The 2028 second-rounder via Dallas, and the Kings 2030 pick go to Indiana. So that was a good pickup. Basically, a backup point guard for Fox. So Malik Monk, when he comes in off the bench, he doesn't have to handle the ball. He can be off-ball, running across screens, some off-ball actions, some cuts, stuff like that, free him up some more. I like it. They could use some more guard depth. Some more extensions. DeJounte Murray signed an extension, which was a little bit puzzling just because he had 1 year left. Probably could have hit free agency and got slightly bigger bag, but maybe the Hawks whispered something in his ear. He's represented by Clutch. Maybe they whispered something in his ear like, hey, you could get X amount of dollars more, but if you do it this way, they might do you a favor later down the road. So maybe it's like a situation like that, like, all right, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back type of thing. That's what I'm thinking. But 4 years, 120, it's nothing to scoff at. That's still a very large amount of money. He's definitely worth every penny. And then year one of their little experiment of that backcourt, I think it was okay. It didn't probably meet expectations, especially what Hawks fans were expecting. There definitely was a regress overall, like in terms of the team, but I don't think it was because of the backcourt. I think the backcourt, give them another year, another training camp with their new coach, and we'll see how they look going into next season. But early thoughts are it's an A+ signing. I like it. And one of the more weird moves I've seen in a while. So we have a pick of trade. We have a trade of picks. All right. So we have the Grizzlies are sending 3 second-round picks to the Suns for 2 first-round pick swaps. A pick swap for next year and pick swap for 20. And Isaiah Todd. So basically, if you don't know already, you probably should. In the Bradley Beal trade, basically the Suns gave up the rest of their swaps plus the rest of their second rounders. So they literally had nothing to trade, at least we thought. But apparently you can trade the swaps of your swaps. I don't know how that works. But basically, in this scenario, Memphis has the right to swap its own first round picks for the better pick between the Suns and the Wizards. So basically, in this scenario, the Wizards are always going to get the best pick of the Suns in the years that they traded for, right? In the years 2024 and 2030, though, Memphis will get the second best. So, for example, if, say, the Suns suck, they get the 3rd pick. The Wizards get the 6th pick, and the Grizzlies get pick 29. Wizards would get pick 3 because Suns suck. They're like that number 1 priority. And then Memphis would get Washington's pick, which was, I said 5, right? They would get pick 5. And then the Suns would get pick 29. If that makes sense. I didn't know this could happen, but I guess they're making up new rules. Maybe the CBA said they could do this. Whatever, hats off to them. Suns, in my early takes on this is Suns get more assets that they could use in future trades. Most likely they're gearing up for the Ayton trade just because when you move Ayton, his contract isn't. And I'm not saying he like Ayton himself isn't valuable because he is, but I believe other teams won't be as willing to take on that contract just because of the amount of not his value, but just like how much like he's worth in terms of his production. Now he will be the 4th option, so it's going to look worse when they try to trade him. So that's why you might have to throw in 3 second-round picks to a team just to help facilitate a trade to take Ayton into 1 big contract into 2 smaller, maybe 3 smaller, manageable contracts of, equal value. But, I mean, they said they're not going to trade him anytime soon, but I would imagine probably closer to the trade deadline is probably a really good possibilities, especially if they're not doing so well. So we'll see. Montrezl Harrell's back to the Sixers. Don't understand. He really felt the rotation, but maybe Nick Nurse is telling him, "Hey, I'll play you more." I guess we'll see. We'll definitely have to see on that. And then the last little bit of news. What's his name? Matisse Thybulle. He did sign an offer sheet with Dallas. I think it was 3 years, about $33 million. Portland, to my surprise, matched. So Dallas still has some of the mid-level left. They have about 10.9 million, or no, they're 10.9 under the first apron. But they still have their full mid-level. So we'll see who. I mean, I don't even know who's honestly still left in free agency. Like in terms of big names, I know. Honestly, I don't even know who's left, to be honest with you. So it'll be hard to see them use the full mid-level. They may have to wait until the trade deadline or a little bit after when teams start buying out players. They might have to use some of that money on the buyout market because if you have the mid-level, you can sign a buyout player to more than just like the prorated veteran minimum. So maybe they could entice, a vet who got bought out. Hey, I know you just got bought out. Let me throw you $6 million, just to play for us for like 30 more games. Who's going to turn that down? Especially if Dallas is still doing pretty. If they have a, up until that point, if they have a good season, that's going to be hard to turn down. $6 million for 30 games. Sign me up. But yeah, that's pretty much all the signings. Now let's switch over to some Dame Dollar news. Now, there's been back and forth between Dame's camp, his agent, and the Portland Trailblazers. My latest news I have for you guys is Portland, I guess, is actually starting to try to look for deals, and what they consider, I guess, as like a baseline starting for a trade with Dame Dollar is they want 4 first rounders and 2 quality players. Now, are they delusional? Slightly. I think Dame Dollar is a top 75 player all time. That's number 1. Number 2, he had a great season at age 32 where he averaged 32 points. Got Portland off to a great start last season, so he's definitely not washed in any capacity. So I can see why they think they could command Kevin Durant type return. But, and this is the but, this whole week Dame's agent has been calling teams, and teams have been calling him. He's been telling them all the same thing. Look, Dame, he only wants to play for Miami. So go ahead and bid against yourselves. But when he doesn't report to training camp, I told you so. So that's also another piece of news that I think that came out today, actually, that potentially he won't show up if that sleeper team out there who thinks they're smarter than everyone else makes this trade happen. Trade for Dame, thinking that, hey, I can convince him. Hey, I don't care. He's going to play for me. Nope. So apparently he's not going to, reportedly he's not going to report to training camp. Miami is his one and only destination. That's where he wants to go. That's where he envisions he will end up. Now, I mean, I feel like from both sides, you have to look at it like this. From Portland's perspective, you can't just give him up. You can't give up Dame for nothing, right? And you can't give him up for a real bad, quality offer. But the man gave you 11, 12 years, got you to a conference finals for the first time in forever. Probably your best player that you've ever drafted, ever played for your franchise. The fact that the GM is not even remotely trying to do right by him, it's a little bit disturbing. Plus, it's just setting a bad precedent. And it doesn't even matter if he's not going to be the GM for a very long time. Even if he's only in the role for another 2 to 3 years, it's just going to leave a bad taste. And I said this last episode. Hey, Scoot, if he turns out to be what they think he is, in 5 to 6 years, he's going to be going into, his rookie max, if that's the type of player he becomes. And hey, maybe they're still terrible in 5 to 6 years. And there will be, there will come a time where he was going to ask out as well. And in the back of his mind, he's going to think, wait, do I really want to sign a long-term deal with them? Or do I really want to ask for a trade? Because they traded Dame to X when he wanted to go to Miami. Or, they just gave Dame up to the highest bidder when he wanted to go to Miami. Like he's gonna think what are they gonna do to me? Might do worse. So I think both sides just have to work together. And from Dame's camp, I get it. You want to go to Miami. Miami is your preferred destination, your only destination. You given all you could to the franchise. You gave them plenty of time. They continue to let you down. You just want to go where you want to go, and you think that, at the very least, they could do you a favor. But they're not, and it's really disappointing. And I think Portland has to bend more than they want to. I think Miami does have an obligation to give Portland a good package. Now, I don't necessarily think they have to give them a great package. 4 first rounders, I think that's a little overkill. They're not going to get 4, especially now. Kevin Durant's different because Kevin Durant is arguably a top 10 to 15 player all time. Dame, he's top 75, but can we honestly say Dame is a top 10 to 15 player? No, I don't think we can say that. So I think the standard has to be slightly less, especially with the amount of money that he's owed, over $200 million over the next 4 years. Both sides are going to have to budge. Both sides are going to have to, bring in another team. And now I'm hearing it's going to be at least 4 teams, potentially 5. Mark Spears reported that. Some of the Miami insiders reported that. But yeah, we'll see. that's basically, I mean, just looking, that's basically what has gone on in the Dame saga. We're just continuing to wait. They're in Vegas right now for the Summer League. I know Pat Riley isn't, but Andy is there. And Joe Cronin, the Portland Trailblazers GM, is there as well. Also, with the other 30 GMs for the other teams are there. And not only is Summer League meant to watch the new guys play, see the talent that you have, make some evaluations on your future, but it's also to make trades, to do business, because it's easier to talk in person. It's easier to have these conversations when you're in person versus, doing it on Zoom or doing it by phone. If on phone, you got to be able to get the person to answer you. In person, you can't duck me. You can't dodge me. You're going to get the smoke whether you want it or not, right? So, for Heat fans, for Trailblazers fans, for fans of the other teams that might be involved in this trade, expect the deal to be done. I'm predicting sometime this week. I feel like Vegas is where it's going to get done, the most likely place. So I would say give it another week, and we'll see what comes out of Vegas. But speaking of Vegas, coming up next, we will talk about the NBA Summer League. Vegas starts tonight, Friday night, where we will see the debut of Wemby, his first NBA game. And we will go over the other two small leagues that happened earlier this week. But we will get to that.
We're back, and we're going to go over the NBA Summer League. And I mean, there's a couple of summer leagues, but we're just going to group them all in. If you didn't already know, the Las Vegas Summer League, which is the main one, takes place today. I'm recording on Friday, so it's going to take place tonight. Depending on the time you see this, you may have already caught a game or two. But Las Vegas is the main summer league. It has the most games. It has the summer league championship, and there's a summer league MVP at the end. But there was some early action this week. I think it kicked off on Monday, so July 3rd, right before July 4th. July 4th, they took the day off, and then action wrapped up on July 5th for, I believe, both of the other two leagues. So let's just get into it. Actually, July 6th, I just checked. So let's kick it off with the Salt Lake City Summer League. Now, the teams that participated in Salt Lake was Memphis, Philly, Oklahoma City, Utah. And it looks like they played each other 3 times each. To be honest, I didn't really catch too much of the Utah games just because they're like weird times. Because they're the games were like kind of like interchanging a little bit, because ESPN would have a game and the NBA TV would have a game, and then like the other game you have to catch on ESPN Plus. So like it was really hard to catch a lot of these games. But to be honest, like Memphis doesn't have a lot of young guys. Like they didn't have a first round pick this year, so it wasn't really. I'm not gonna say it wasn't worth watching, because if you're a fan of the team, you're gonna want to watch. But they didn't have any like immediate first round draft picks. I mean, they had Kenny Lofton Jr. He's fun to watch. He's a very good young prospect. Bright future ahead of him. His two-way did get converted. I'm pretty sure he signed like a 4-year deal right before the playoffs, or like maybe like right after. Yeah, because he played in the playoffs, so his deal he signed right before the playoffs. So shout out to him. Philly, same thing. I don't think they had their first rounder this year. I think Brooklyn had it. So shout out to Philly for not having a first rounder either. Oklahoma City, of course, they had Chet Holmgren. I did watch his first game, and he looked rough at first. You definitely could tell he was rusty, but I think once he got into the flow of things, I mostly tuned into the second half, I'm not gonna lie. But just like comparing the highlights to what I watched in the second half, he definitely looked a lot better. You could tell he was like feeling the game. He was just trying to like move at his own pace almost, but he was still trying to be aggressive.
The man is a terror on defense. I feel like even he's going into his second year, but it's going to be his rookie year, right? I think he has a strong case to be rookie of the year, depending on how much he can stay on the floor. All the awards now, I think even rookie, you need to play at least 65 games. So it will be interesting to see if he can stay on the court for 65 games to get to even be like in contention for the award. But I feel like if he puts out a strong defensive showing like he did in the summer league, granted it's a summer league, it's not like it's NBA talent, but it's like not the upper echelons. It's not. He's not going against LeBron. It's not going against KD. It's not going against Donovan Mitchell, Brunson, all those guys. Like even some of the other, like if you name a big like Jaren Jackson or Steven Adams or Anthony Davis, like it's not going against those types of talents. But coming off a foot injury, trying to get his footing back, he did a pretty decent job. The second game, it's definitely still defense, but the offense, at least for me, from what I saw, it just wasn't there. Yeah, that's for the Utah Salt Lake City Classic, and then moving on to the California Summer League Classic, which I saw a lot of these games. The first Miami and Lakers game, dear Lord, Miami has a Summer League squad from Peterson to Triple J, Hami Jaquez Jr. That kid can play, and I know there was people, at least Heat fans, were kind of iffy about his shot. His shot looks okay. I think he's going to shoot better because his immediate comparison is Jimmy Butler, of just because of how he like operates in the lane. He's very slow, but also like precise at the same time. He likes to get to his spots and knows how to get to his spots. He can set people up if he needs to. He's like a utility player. So I think he'll be able to shoot better than Jimmy because his jump shot just looks more pure, and it looks like he has like decent mechanics. He definitely can work on them once he gets into the training. The training staff can work with him with his mechanics. So I feel pretty good about that. But yeah, he had like 21. Let me get you I think he had like 21 points, 3 or 7 3-point shooting. All right, here's his official stats. 22 points on 8 of 15 shooting, 3 of 7 from 3. Made all 3 free throws that he shot, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Only 2 turnovers in 22 minutes. Plus minus was a 10. But also Jovic, like he really, really improved. And we didn't see him much in the regular season, from like him trying to pass high school while he's in the NBA to, I think he even had like back spasms, like for the most part throughout the whole season. If you're a Heat fan, even if you just watch Heat games, you just didn't see the kid a lot. But I mean, last summer league we saw flashes, but now I'm like seeing like steady, like I just like the improvement is like jumping off my screen. And I'm not saying he's gonna be. I jokingly say he's gonna be the next Serbian superstar, but this kid is really good. I feel like he's definitely. He's going to be included in this Dame trade. I don't see how Portland passes up on a 6'11" young kid. He's only 20. He can shoot threes. He can handle the ball. He rebounds well, can pass. And he's even gotten way better at finishing. Like he's absorbing contact and not like just flopping like a fish. Like he's absorbing contact and finishing really well, at least in the first game. And he looked really good. Seemed like, he belonged. Seemed like he wanted to dominate. Definitely has an edge to him. So he's a good kid. And this Aduye, I don't know what his first name is. I think it's maybe Chris. But oh my God, that kid has a good first step. So they got a squad for Summer League. They have to make some tough decisions. But on the Lakers side, you have their first round pick, Jalen Hood, his second, last name is cut off. I can't really see, but I think it's JHS. He did really good, 6 and 19. So shooting the ball wasn't too well, but 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 15 points in 29 minutes. Not too bad. Christie played really well, 6 of 11, 1 of 3 from 3, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 17 points overall. It was a game at points, but I don't know if this Miami Summer League team just got hot and just pulled it off. I don't think it was anything to be trying to break down any further than that. San Antonio, Charlotte. I don't think I caught a lot of that game. Wemby didn't play, so there was no need to watch it. Sacramento, Golden State. I did watch bits and pieces of that. Their rookie can shoot. Like, looking at the box score, I think his name is Podzimski, I think he was 4-9 that game. 1 of 3 from 3. But he looked really good. Shoot. I would have loved to have him too as a Heat fan. So he did really well. Who else? Miami got killed in the second game by Sacramento because Keegan Murray decided to drop a easy 41 piece. (11 of 20, 6-11 from 3, 3 of 15 from the free throw, and 31 minutes, 41 points overall, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 4 blocks. I mean, he was just like a man amongst boys. Like, dear Lord, I had to cut the game off. We were getting beat so bad. Keegan Murray is the real deal. There's a reason why he beat Clay's record. Like, he's just immensely talented. He's really good. The Kings have found they got a good one. So shout out to the Kings. Then, of course, we have the Las Vegas Summer League, like I said. Takes place on Friday night. I think the first games kick off about 3 or 4. So depending on when you see this, you might be watching one of those early games. I guess just going into who I'm looking forward to see the most, I feel I definitely want to see Wemby, of course. I want to see Mohamed Jaquez, of course. I want to see Wemby's teammate. And only because I watch a lot of Wemby games, but I didn't particularly pay attention to his teammates. It was just all my attention was focused on him. So when it comes to the Wizards, I'm going to pay attention to his teammate. I already forgot his name, but I know basically from the scouts they say he's like a raw guy, basically defensive minded wing. What I'm going to be looking for is basically, does he even have like an offensive mind? Like, is he going to go look for shots, or is he just going to at first just be like a Thibault or like a Andre Roberson, where, you know, he'll shoot it if he has to, he'll get layups if he's open, but other than that, he's not really looking to score. I think that's what I'm going to look for the most, especially in Summer League when he's going against basically guys of his competition level. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, just think you're going to be looking, some of these games are going to be looking really good. They alternate between ESPN, NBA TV, and ESPN Plus. So you're going to have to be jumping around just like I was the first couple of days to try and catch all these games. And some of them are really late. Like the first, not the first. Golden State versus Lakers is at 11 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. So like some of these games are really late. So if you're a huge NBA fan, there's basketball to be watched, but it's at some of them are at odd times. So if you're fans of some of these teams, it just might suck, right? So you got that to look forward to. But moving on, that is basically the Summer League wrapped up in a nutshell. Coming up next, we are going into rapid fire. So let's finish off the show with our rapid fire. Now we got some more NBA topics to cover, so let's get into it. First off, we have the NBA has, I mean, they've already announced this, but they will go into more detail tomorrow, Saturday, with their in-season tournament. So basically, the NBA is going to have an in-season tournament, which the games will count towards the regular season. So basically, each team is going to play at least 80 games from what I'm seeing. The two teams that make it to the championship will play 83 games. And so I guess depending on how the tournament's formatted, depending on how many games you win in the tournament, you could possibly play 81, 82 games or 83 games. So they'll go into more details tomorrow, but I think early thoughts, I like this. I think it still has the potential to be a dud. I just don't think there's enough incentives for the teams to play. So far, they've only announced that the winners of the team, I think the winning team gets $500,000 per player, which I get it. If you're a young guy, if you're an undrafted guy, $500,000 is a lot of money. To the normal person, that's a lot of money, but to an NBA player, that's like pocket change almost. Maybe like I said, maybe for an undrafted guy whose salary is only like $1 million, hey, that's like half your salary. So, but to be fair, there's not too many guys like that, out in the league. So, I like the direction they're heading into. I do think they need to spice it up. I feel like, especially in the beginning of the season, it can get a little dull. Some of the early matchups, just because the players are rusty, haven't been playing basketball for a while. Some of the games are really sloppy. The games are called, a little sloppy, just because each season the refs have a different agenda they want to push. But I think, and we don't know the more detailed specifics, but I think one way to kind of spice it up, and me and the boys were talking about this a little bit earlier today, I think the winners, like the incentive for winning should be draft picks. Like if you win, you should get like a first or second rounder. Now, we're not giving them a super good first rounder, but we might give you a really good second rounder. Like you might get the 31st pick. We'll add another second round pick, and we'll make it the very first one in the second round. So you could get a player that maybe was lottery projected, kind of slid into the second round, because it happens every year. I mean, this past year, Cam Whitmore slid from like 5th in a lot of mock drafts to 20. So, I mean, that happens every year. So, who's to say that a pick like that is probably, it's not super valuable, but it still has value. So, if something like that were to happen, or if you move it to the last pick in the first round, that way, whoever you draft is a restricted free agent, and they get that 5th year. So, I know definitely in NFL, first round picks are very, very valuable because you get that 5th year option. Same in the NBA. That 5th year, very valuable. Plus, restricted free agents are very valuable because you can match if you need to. Plus, the rookie extensions are bigger, so you're more likely to, keep a guy if you can give him more money. So, ideas like that, could probably incentivize. So, as it stands, as, the information that we're given, teams don't have an incentive to keep playing their good players. I mean, yeah, the matchups might be good. We might see more matchups than we usually do. But if I'm the Warriors, if I'm the Clippers, if I'm Miami, if I'm Celtics, like, why am I playing my starters just for $500,000? They don't need it. and then I risk injury or whatnot, or God forbid something bad happens and a player's out for the whole season just because they went hard in the I guess mid-season tournament. I don't know what they're gonna call it, but I don't know. We'll see. The details are coming out, like I said, on Saturday. So hopefully sometime next week, hopefully on Monday's show, we will dive deeper into it. But early thoughts, I like it, but there's still a lot that they could do to improve. Secondly, and this is our last topic for Rapid Fire, Team USA, the roster for the FIBA World Cup for this year. I think it's this year because the Olympics is next year. They just released more like it the full roster. Now, usually in the FIBA World Cup years, you don't have the big guns coming out. Maybe occasionally you'll see a guy like back in the day, Carmelo or KD might come out and play. You might only have one or two, but definitely this season, I'm not gonna say they have the scrubs, y'all, but they definitely have. They don't have as good of a squad. So our only saving grace is Giannis is. I think he's doubtful for the FIBA World Cup. So Greece is a competent challenger, so that's good for us on that front if he doesn't play. But as it stands, let me find the official list. We do have a couple of key signings, or not signings, but like players that committed, like Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. Let's see the full list. Paulo Banchero, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Ant Edwards, Halliburton, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Jaren Jackson Jr., Cam Johnson, Walker Kessler, Bobby Portis, Austin Reeves. It's a good list of guys. I'm not trashing them. I'm not doubting that they can't go out and compete and come back with the gold. And it's good that they give the younger guys a chance to go out and show the world basically like how good they are. So I mean, I get that, but I still think at the end of the day, you still need a couple of vets. Like you still need like a PG or a Kawhi or Anthony Davis. You need like one of those guys, at least one, to kind of help them, because I mean, I'm sure they have experience when they were younger playing on like the U18, the U19, the U20 teams, but it's a different animal when you go against the professionals, like the other guys in the NBA and some of these Euro leagues that actually play high level basketball too. It'll be interesting to see. I still think we can win gold, but would I be shocked if we don't? No, because the team, honestly, this is the B team. The A team, hey, they're going to win. But B team, they're B team for a reason. We'll see. Early thoughts are, I think we guaranteed at least bronze. At least bronze. I feel like the team is good enough to get bronze. I don't even know if they have the brackets up yet. So, but in the comments down below, guys, let me know, what do you think? Will USA win the World Cup this year? Yes or no? And is this, also let me know if this is one of the worst or best B teams that the USA has put out. Because I mean, it's not the worst one that they put out, but let's be honest, it's definitely not one of the best. So we shall see. Good luck to them. I think it says right here, they start play in August, so next month. And of course, the major countries that are we have to look out for: France, Spain, Serbia, and Australia. I think Australia almost kicked our ass last time, so definitely we got to watch out for them. Yep. But that is it for Rapid Fire, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Big 2-0, episode 20 of the MTL Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for all the support. We really appreciate it, and it keeps us going, keeps us motivated to keep making these videos and the podcast for you guys. So make sure you go follow us on Twitter and TikTok, and soon to be Threads. Once I make a Thread account, it's going to be MTL Sports Pod, just like all the other accounts, just to keep it, concise. Go like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Spotify so you can, listen to the podcast on the go as well. And with that, y'all, it's Friday. I'm off work. I think it's time to go watch the Summer League. So hopefully you guys tune into the Summer League too. Watch some great young talent, play. Some of them play for their spot on the NBA team. Some of them are going to play for the big bag in the future. So we shall see. But with that, guys, thank you once again, and peace. We're out.